so much. It's 7:50. Haim, Andrew Koenig, River Phoenix. To outsiders, all these child actors appear to be, living the good life, right? But instead, all of their lives were cut short in very tragic ways.
And it is hard to understand why. But here to help us explain it is Celebrity Life coach Patrick Wanis. How are you, Patrick? Good to see you.
Thank you. Doing great.
Patrick, from the outside, when we look at celebrities, it seems so glitz, glam, fabulous. But then we hear about these tragedies and these lives cut short. How do we even explain this? I understand you have a pretty interesting approach to all of this.
Well, the first thing is that all child actors lose their innocence. They never get to be a child. They've never had a real childhood. One of the keys is they don't get to socialize with other kids. They don't go to school every day. They don't get to go through what we call the developmental phases. The next thing that they lose is that they have to grow up so fast. They have too many responsibilities, too many expectations. They're also not nurtured in the sense that a child always sits back and receives.
Yeah.
But once they become a star and there's money coming in, all the people around them try to take a piece. So even the dynamic between the child and the parent changes, where instead of the parent giving, the parent's starting to take.
Another thing, too, that has to be difficult is that for a lot of these actors, they are at their most famous when they're young, right? They get one or two roles, and like Macaulay Culkin, for example, he's Home Alone, he's a huge star, and then the roles dry up, and all of a sudden people don't want to hire them, and that's got to be tough.
That's the key point. That is that society, Hollywood, we give them a character and identity stamp. We say, you are this character, we want you to always be this character, even when you become an adult. So take Gary Coleman, we still want to hear him say, what you talking about, Willis?
Right.
And so we don't allow them to grow up. We expect them to be a child, even though they've never really been a child.
And it's funny you mentioned that because we just saw Haim on the screen there, and just from watching his reality show from last year, he was getting that all the time. Right. People still wanted to ask him about the Lost Boys and Lucas and things like that, and that was when he was a kid.
And the same with Ferris Bueller and the character. They still want to talk about the same sort of thing. The other thing that's really detrimental to child actors is the exposure to drugs. Now, every kid gets exposed to drugs, but in Hollywood, it's at every party you go to. It's not just about being offered them, it's about being supplied and encouraged to do them.
Right.
So, for example, child actors that are on set for a long time, that have a lot of responsibilities, a lot of pressure, will be sometimes offered drugs to stay awake, to keep going, even though no one ever hears about this.
Patrick, let's face it, though, this is the world we live in. People are passionate about things. You work so hard to get in this industry. Something happens. You have this life, and, you've got to live it. So what do we do if there's a parent that wants their kid to get into showbiz or someone that's passionate about it, what do we do to make it work?
You've really got to maintain control as much as you can to the extent of monitoring everyone that's around him or her and what they're doing. Look at Michael Jackson. It was the same thing. The entourage became parasites, fed off him, and gave him the stuff that he shouldn't have been having. So the parent with a child actor or even a child that's a musician has to monitor everyone around them and make sure that the child is still going to be allowed to be a child, to play, to have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, to do the kind of things that kids do at school.
And we're just seeing picture after picture of these child stars, and like I said earlier, the zenith of their career. That's Andrew Koenig. He was a star on Growing Pains, and nothing happened subsequent to that. I want to ask you financially. They make all this money as a kid, right? Now, what advice would you give parents with regards to what to do with that money? Do you let the kids spend it?
But that's the problem. Most parents come in and try to take over, and sometimes, and there's certain parents, I don't want to name them, that become so greedy that they no longer think about the child. All they're thinking about is the money. So the best advice is when someone external is actually accounting and managing the money. The other point I wanted to make when you were talking about, even River Phoenix or Haim or Freddie Prinze Jr., anxiety. Most of these children, because they don't get to be a child, don't get to experience anxiety as a child. When they become an adult, they don't know how to handle anxiety. They haven't experienced fear, venturing outside your territory, riding a bicycle on your own far away, doing those sort of things, because everyone's protecting them because the kid's worth a lot. When the kid becomes an adult, he no longer knows how to handle fear because he's never handled it before.
All right, Patrick Wanis, have I told you that you're fabulous?
Thank you.
You are fantastic. Thank you for being here on the show. To learn more about Dr. Wanis or read about other celebrity news, go to southflorida.com. We've got a lot there for you. Coming up at 8 o'clock, do you have issues in the kitchen? Well, one famous chef is going around to South Florida restaurants creating nightmares for their kitchens. We'll tell you about the latest victim.
Plus, always looking for the best new dish. We'll tell you how people are helping spot food in cyberspace.